Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you as President of the Goethe University Frankfurt to the international conference Reconstructing the Dynamics of the Emergence of Islam, Possibilities and Limits. In this beautiful premise of the Forschungskolleg Humanwissenschaften, one of our two institutes for advanced studies. I would like to thank all participants for enriching this important event with their presence. This conference would not have been possible without your support, dear speakers, moderators, and organizers. So I thank you in advance for your contributions and dedication. This conference is organized on the occasion of the completion of the first phase of the Linked Open Tafsir database. This database was created as part of the long-term research project Linked Open Tafsir. Since August 2018 to this day, a group of scholars at the Goethe University, the Humboldt University Berlin, and the University of Gießen have been dealing with the collection, digitization, and analysis of the early Islamic traditions related to early Quranic exegesis. I congratulate the project managers of the three locations, Professor Ömer Özsoy, Professor Serdar Kurnaz, and Professor Yassar Sarikaya, on this ingenious project idea and for the successful exemplary cooperation. This project was supported by the Academy of Islam in Research and Society, to whose director, Professor Bekim, Agai, I would like to extend my warmest greetings. Since 2017, in addition to research and transfer, the Academy has enabled national, interdisciplinary and international cooperation in Islamic theological and social issues. As a platform, it contributes to the exchange between scholars from the individual fields of Islamic theological studies and practitioners from civil society. As part of Goethe University, the work of the Academy makes an essential and valuable contribution to the university's third mission of conducting science with and for society, and is a central pillar of our initiative Dynamics of Religion. The work of the Academy is made possible by funding from the Federal Ministry for Education and Research and the Mercator Foundation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the two sponsors for their financial support and excellent cooperation. I would also like to thank the Frankfurt and Berlin colleagues and their teams for organizing and conducting the conference in order to present the results of the project Linked Open Tafsir. Dr. Misbahur Rehman, whose name I would like to give a special mention as the coordinator of this unique database, will soon present to you the completed first phase of the database. However, the focus is not only on the presentation of the database and its discussion. Rather, the organizers see the Congress as an opportunity to discuss questions that have arisen in the course of creating the database in a multidisciplinary manner with international renowned scientists. The aim is therefore to discuss the dynamics of the emergence of the Quran, the Islamic religion, and various fields of Islamic tradition, and to deal with the methodological problems in order to approach early Islam. Therefore, this conference does not mark an end. Rather, it is the beginning of many further endeavors to make the early Islamic tradition accessible to international scholarships. Islamic theology is closely connected and cooperates with various university disciplines, its theologies or other related sciences. A novelty, however, is the interdisciplinary approach of the Linked Open Tafsir project in relation to digital humanities, which offers invaluable opportunities for this subject. The Linked Open Tafsir project is the first project within Islamic theologies to use digital humanities with an interdisciplinary approach. We all look forward to further projects with a special focus on digital humanities within Islamic theology, as the project members are already working on follow-up projects focusing on early Islamic traditions in the broadest sense. With our support, the Professorship for Quranic Exegesis has already promised funds to continue the project and is working on follow-up applications. In order to show the importance of the research on early Islam for Goethe University, we granted colleague Özsoy a Goethe Fellowship so that he can spend 4 years discussing and deepening his research ideas with international colleagues in the Forschungskolleg Humanwissenschaften. Studies on early Islam and its theological interpretation is a recognized focus in Frankfurt, which is also part of the interdisciplinary research focus dynamic of the religious. We hope to set new accents from Frankfurt and to make our contribution to the consolidation of the new disciplines of Islamic theology. At this point, I would like to recall with pleasure that Islamic theological studies in Frankfurt have meanwhile a long history and are celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. Congratulations. I'm sure that Islamic theological studies in Frankfurt will continue to take itself seriously as a science and will continue its cooperation with other universities, especially Gießen and Berlin, which have been united under the umbrella of the Center for Islamic Studies for 10 years. Islamic theological studies is an important research area at our university, as mentioned. But our expertise in the field Islam stretches far beyond the boundaries of religious studies. Given the complexities associated with the singular term Islam and the enormity of what Islamic studies encompasses, the future of the field, we are convinced, ought to continue incorporating the perspective of other disciplines and methodologies like sociology, anthropology, history, politics, and arts. This task is compounded by the needs of scholars and policymakers to apply informed models to contemporary issues surrounding, for example, the challenge of Islamophobia or Islamist terrorism. We therefore aim at a greater interdisciplinary integration of the study of Islam at our university in order to increase the visibility and enhance the impact of our research findings. The contribution of our experts in Islamic theological studies to this task, of what I am certain, will be invaluable. With this in mind, I wish you all a very successful conference and send you my warmest regards to Bad Homburg. Thank you.
The President of the Goethe University, Professor Schleiff, Head of the Forschungskolleg Humanwissenschaften, Professor Lutz Bachmann, honored guests, colleagues and participants. I welcome you all on behalf of the Academy for Islam in Research and Society, which has the honor to support, or had the honor to support, the long-term research group Linked Open Tafsir for the last 4 years. One output of the research group is this conference entitled Reconstructing the Dynamics of the Emergence of Islam, Possibilities and Limits, that brought us all together here in Bad Homburg. It is a great pleasure to see you all, to have the possibility to listen to milestones of research and get the chance to have interesting discussions. The conference today is not only a tangible milestone in your research endeavors, but also a testament to resilience and competence of the research group Linked Open Tafsir that demonstrated in the light of the challenges the virus imposed on all of us. It was quite an effort to organize this conference at the end of the teaching term, end of the project, and under very fluid circumstances. Therefore, I thank the organizers and their team for their good work to bring us all together. I'm exceedingly happy to be joining you in person today. And I'm very proud of the research group, the long-term research project titled Linked Open Tafsir, Reconstruction of the Development Dynamics of the Quran using Network Modeling of Early Islamic Traditions, a project of the Academy for Islam in Research and Society of the Goethe University, which is carried out jointly by the mentioned University of Frankfurt, Humboldt University, and Justus Liebig University, Gießen. This research format encourages collaborations and exchange of expertise among different universities on research questions that relate to both academic inquiries and public concerns. This project served to increase the nationwide standard of the research field, the new research field of Islamic theology in Germany, solidify interdisciplinary research areas, and open communication lines between academia and the public. In this sense, today is one highlight to discuss the findings of the research group. As we will see, Linked Open Tafsir is a milestone in this regard and asks for possibilities and limits of the possibilities to reconstruct the dynamics of the emergence of Islam. As we all know in this setting, the context of the emergence of Islam is the key to understand and give meaning to all the primary sources of Islam, and this research has implications ranging from exegesis, Islamic jurisprudence, theology, philosophy, and educational studies. What makes this project special is that the findings are both general and specific, in that it provides a foundation for a meta-level discussion of the sources we all use. I know the project due to our cooperation in detail, but I believe we will all get to witness research results and discussions of the subject in a broader setting in the upcoming panels. I look very much forward to the international exchange with the distinguished scholars honoring us with their participation and presence. This will surely serve to take us all several steps forward in increasing our knowledge on the matter. On behalf of the Academy, I extend our faith, support, and best wishes to all of you in this outstanding endeavor. I will give the word to my friend and colleague, Professor Dr. Özsoy, one of the organizers of the conference and one of the three architects of the Linked Open Tafsir project. Ömer, the floor is yours.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, and dear guests, online and here in person, sorry for the delay. Welcome to our conference, Reconstructing the Dynamics of the Emergence of Islam. It is an honor and pleasure for me to welcome you all. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. We are very happy to welcome 70 speakers, 30 guests in person, and almost 100 guests online. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us and attending the conference. The aim of the conference is to present some of the results of our research and the open access website based on the database we created. Since the project Linked Open Tafsir addresses research questions related to the emergence of Islamic sciences, we want to go further and discuss with you, esteemed colleagues and scholars, the question how to reconstruct the dynamics of the emergence and the formation of the Islamic tradition of sciences. The key questions of the conference are, in order to understand the red thread, as follows. How did opinions, teachings, schools, scientific disciplines, ideas and concepts develop with regard to specific cultural and historical circumstances? What role do the canonization and interpretation of religious texts and the emergence of theologically relevant writings play? How is the relation between historical events and the differentiation and consolidation of Islamic sciences and the knowledge production? To what extent were thoughts, concepts, and ideas from neighboring cultures integrated to Islamic tradition and further develop? And how did the Islamic tradition influence other cultures? The whole program of the conference revolves around these and further related questions. The project Linked Open Tafsir marks only a starting point for our discussion. And in order to understand how the project is linked to these questions, I want to highlight the objectives of the project briefly. The project team created a relational, ontologically indexed database and network modeling of the early exegetical transmissions. This material contains historical events and specific precedents for the time of the revelation of the Quran, as well as the cultural, legal, religious, social and linguistic framework of the Quran's origin. Thus, the database provides a solid basis for research on the early Islamic tradition in the exegetical tradition. We summarized all relevant information in 3 major groups, as mentioned before: the microenvironment, the macroenvironment, and the language environment. We recorded all these marked them and linked them to each other in order to create a dynamic database for advanced searches within the transmissions. Since the exegetical literature contains different types of knowledge, we also marked the transmissions with regard to their content: theological and legal, linguistic and lexicographical, phonetic and grammatical, inter- and intratextual. A second focus of the project lied on the chains of transmission. We marked all the transmitters, gave them IDs, and linked them to each other. Thus, the database provides also information to the narrators, the so-called ruwat. To meet these goals, we needed a text that is fully extant and contains different types of transmissions related to the Quran. And we found this text in At-Tabaris Jami' al-Bayan, and we used the Turkey edition. We believe that At-Tabari's work, more or less, comprises the relevant transmission from the early centuries and can be a solid basis for the database that should be extended with more relevant works like Musannaf books, Hadith books, and books on history. The project work was carried out by a working group which, in addition to its own research projects, was responsible for the database, such as structural indexing of the digitized full text and their content processing. An appropriate composition of the working group, and with the help of fellows and associates, and many of whom are with us as speakers, ensured that every possible area of competence, Quranic exegesis, Hadith studies, systematic theology, Islamic law, linguistics, religious studies, and religious education, was covered within a dialogue between the respective expertise of the relevant specialist areas. Ömer Özsoy worked on Asbab al-Nuzul, Naskh, Takhsis, and further related subjects of the Quranic sciences. Turul Kurt was responsible for the categories on Israeliyat and transmissions related to different religious traditions. Edin Mahmutovic was responsible for the categories on the reading variants, the Qira'at, and I was responsible for the categories of legal transmissions, fiqh. Our team in Gießen, under the supervision of Yashar Sarıkaya, focused on Islamic pedagogy. They studied and asked the question how to implement transmitted knowledge to religious education in schools and mosques. The project ends at the end of August. However, with the start of Linked Open Tafsir, we already defined an overall objective for future projects. The project lays down the foundation for the development of a larger database of the huge material of transmissions, which we can find in Hadith books, historiographical books, and other genres. With the help of different methods and approaches coming from digital humanities, and Misbahur Rahman is going to present us some of them, the vast amount of transmission will be accessible to the international community of scholarship on Islamic sciences. The machine learning models, for example, made it possible to automatically record and tag the marked traditions with regard to people, location, groups, time, as well as other thematic categories. This will not only enable scholars working in the field of Islamic sciences to do research with the help of the transmitted data within the Islamic tradition, it will also provide important information for Christian, Jewish, and more in general religious studies. Examples of the interaction and the important pieces of information on Christian groups at the Arabic Peninsula will be seen in panel 3, From Jahiliyyah to Islam, Change and Continuity, and panel 7, Jewish and Christian Impact on Islamic Sources and vice versa. Thus, our project is only the first step to mark, record, and tag the transmitted information in various fields of Islamic sciences and make them accessible to the international community of researchers on Islam. Our conference has therefore a threefold function: presenting the first results of the project, reflecting on the interpretation, and of course, networking. Therefore, we have many project presentations at our conference. This conference marks for us also a new starting point in order to improve our database, our techniques and models from digital humanities, to pursue our aim to mark and record more or less all relevant transmissions in various genres of Islamic tradition. And now I have the pleasure to give you some information on organizational stuff. Today we organized dinner for all the participants. You are very welcome and invited to join us here at the Forschungskolleg. During the whole conference, we serve for all participants refreshments, some finger food, sweets and lunch. All panelists, speakers, are invited to join us for dinner, supper on Tuesday and Wednesday. We have also made some reservation for other participants of the conference. We have like 15 to 20 additional spots. However, and much to our dismay, we will not be able to cover their expenses. We have a prayer room at the second floor. You can also use at the second floor the toilets for ablution, and please only these two toilets for ablution. And we have also the possibility to do ablution here at this floor when we are allowed to use the toilet for disabled people. You have a conference map in the conference bag on the seat. In the conference map, you find some information about your consent of recording. Please do fulfill this consent and return it back to our student assistants at the registration desk upstairs, if you have not done already consent in the online registration form. And we have also there the relevant information for reimbursement. Please do fulfill these documents as well and return it back to our student assistants. And we also need the original copies of the relevant documents as far as you have, for example, used the taxi and have only the sheet of paper from the taxi driver and not an online document. If you have an online document, we already sent you an email. Please do write an email to our student assistant, Usama Abdul Rahman. Now, I have another pleasure to thank all the organizing team. I want to thank especially Serdar Üstünder, Torul Kurt, of course, Misbahur Rahman again, and the student assistants Besar Taviliya, Ines Kamran Yıldız, Moritz Bohne, Ömer Altunkaya, Erik Adam, Salim Dereyut, and Usama Abdul Rahman. Now I wish you all a pleasant stay here in Bad Homburg and a fruitful discussion here at the Forschungskolleg. And now I have the pleasure to invite you, dear Misbah, to present our work on Linked Open Tafsir. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, and dear guests here and online, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our conference, Reconstructing the Dynamics of the Emergence of Islam. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to meet you personally in Bad Homburg. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and for coming from around the globe. In order not to torment you with my bad English, I will speak a few words in Arabic, which is the most common language in this circle. مرحبا بكم. سيداتي وسادتي، كما هو معروف فإن ظهور الإسلام كان موضوع بحث مكثف للغاية في الدراسات الإسلامية الدولية. ضمن هذا الإطار تم تطبيق مناهج مختلفة وتطوير تفسيرات متباينة وأحيانا متنافسة من أجل التوطين التاريخي والجغرافي والثقافي واللاهوتي واللغوي للإسلام والقرآن. الاختلاف كبيرة لدرجة أن المرأة غالبا ما يكون لديه انطباع بأن البحث عن القرآن والإسلام المبكر هو مجال يمكن فيه لكل باحث التعبير عن كل تخيلاته وتجربة جميع نظريات المؤامرة التي يمكن تصورها. كما قلت هذا مجرد انطباع محتمل، وإلا فإننا نعلم أن جميع الزملاء الذين يشتغلون على هذا المجال يأخذون موضوع بحثهم على محمل الجد ويحترمونه، لكن هذا لا يغير حقيقة أن التقارب والتعاون بين الأساليب المنهجية المختلفة والتفسيرات المتعددة يكاد يكون مستحيلا. هذا جزئيا بسبب أن المشاريع البحثية الفردية يتم تنفيذها إما على أساس التقاليد المحلية والأفكار التي تنتمي إلى العتيقة المتأخرة ومن منظور التناص، أو على أساس المصادر الإسلامية فقط، كما هو أكثر دقة اعتماداً على استقبال الوسط والتفسيرات السائدة للأخبار التي تحتويها تلك المصادر. فلا تكاد توجد أي مشاريع تجمع هذين النوعين من المصادر التي لا غنى عنها. على سبيل المثال، توفر الدراسات الإسلامية الاستشراقية عن ولادة الإسلام وتطوره المبكر استنتاجات مهمة عن الممارسة الدينية للمجتمع الإسلامي الأول والتطورات اللاحقة في المجالات ذات الصلة من الناحية اللاهوتية. لكن هذه النتائج القيمة لم يتم ربطها بعد بطريقة محكمة مع المعلومات المفصلة التي تحتويها المصادر الإسلامية، بل على العكس من ذلك، إذ غالبا ما يشكل التاريخ المتأخر لكتابة المصادر الإسلامية منطلقا لموقف متشكك تجاه المعلومات التي تحتويها تلك المصادر. هذا الاعتراض له ما يبرره، لأنه كما هو معروف تعود أقدم المصادر إلى العلماء الذين عاشوا في القرون اللاحقة والذين مثلوا أفكاراً لاهوتية ومواقف سياسية شتى. لا مبرر لاتهام جميع هؤلاء العلماء بالتلاعب العمد ناهيك عن تحريف الأخبار، لكن الموقف الحذر والنقدي ضروري، لأن موقعهم قد يكون له أثر في اختيارهم للمعلومات التي أدرجوها وكيف تم عرضها، على الأقل بسبب أن المصادر القديمة غالبا ما تعود إلى النقل الشفوي، وعادة ما تكون مكتوبة أو مجمعة من قبل طلاب أو أمناء المؤلفين الشيوخ. ومن أجل ذلك ليس من الممكن دائما تحديد ما إذا كانت المصادر القديمة هي كتابات تم إنتاجها للقراء العام أو ملحوظات خاصة. بالإضافة إلى ذلك فإن المخطوطات المحفوظة هي في الغالب نسخ لاحقة من النصوص الأصلية، ففي حالة وجود عدد كبير منها فإنها تظهر اختلافات كثيرة. بالنظر إلى هذه وغيرها من العوامل الأخرى، نرى أنه من واجب الباحث بدلاً من تجاهل مطلق بهذه المصادر والمعلومات القيمة فيها أن يأخذ على محل الجد ادعاء المصادر الإسلامية في الإبلاغ عن ولادة الإسلام والقرآن من خلال فحصها بشكل نقدي. في الواقع أظهر العديد من المؤرخين بشكل مقنع أن الروايات الفردية يمكن تأريخها إلى وقت أقدم من المصادر التي تم العثور عليها فيها، مثل الزميل الموقر غريغور شولر الذي كان من المقرر أن يتفضل بإلقاء الخطاب الرئيسي في المؤتمر، ولكن للأسف لم يتمكن من الحضور لأنه أصيب بكورونا. أتمنى له ولزوجته الكريمة الشفاء العاجل، وأشكره على إرسال نص كلمته التي سوف تقرأ قريبا من قبل الزميلة العزيزة أرمينا أمريكا. أشكرها على موافقتها على قراءة محاضرة الأستاذ شولر. عودة إلى الموضوع، ومن أجل فحص دقيق للعلاقة بين المصادر المحفوظة والأحداث الموصوفة فيها، من الضروري تسجيل جميع الروايات ذات الصلة وربطها ببعضها البعض. ولقد تم في العقد الماضي اتخاذ أولى الخطوات المهمة لسد هذه الفجوة. وأود هنا التنويه بمشروعين تم إنجازهما ونشرهما كأعمال مهمة: موسوعة التفسير المأثور وكتاب المصحف قراءته. ومن حسن الحظ أن كلا المشروعين يمثلان هنا في المؤتمر من خلال المشاركين في المؤتمر، الأول من قبل الزميل العزيز عبد الرحمن الشهري، والثاني من قبل الزميل الكريم نادر الحمامي الحمامي. ومن خلال شخصيهما أهنئ المجموعتين على هذا العمل البحثي الرائد. فإن رقمنة الروايات ذات الصلة مع أسانيدها الكاملة وتوفير خدمات متقدمة لمعالجتها لا يزال مفقودا. يرى مشروعنا الذي سيكتمل قريبا نفسه كخطوة أولى متواضعة في سد هذه الفجوة الكبيرة من خلال إنشاء قاعدة بيانات علائقية مفهرسة للرواية التفسيرية المبكرة حول الأحداث التاريخية في عهد النزول، وحول الإطار الثقافي والديني والاجتماعي واللغوي لنشأة القرآن وبداية الإسلام. وفي سياق إنشاء قاعدة البيانات المشار إليها، قمنا بتسجيل جميع المعلومات المتعلقة بالبيئة المباشرة والواسعة واللغوية للقرآن، وربطها شبكيا مع بعضها البعض وجعلها قابلة للبحث. ونعتزم تطبيق نظام النمذجة الذي قمنا بتطويره اعتمادا على تفسير الطبري، والذي يتضمن كل نوع من الروايات التفسيرية تقريبا على مصادر أخرى، وإدخالها في قاعدة البيانات كجزء من مشاريع مستقبلية مكملة. فإن زميلي الموقر مصباح الرحمن الذي رافق المشروع منذ بدايته وكان دوره مركزيا فيه، سيقدم شرحا مفصلا عن عملنا وكيفية تنظيم قاعدة البيانات وعملها. وإننا نتطلع إلى ملاحظاتكم لتطوير عملنا. سيداتي وسادتي، إلى هذا المؤتمر الذي نظمناه بمناسبة الانتهاء من المرحلة الأولى من قاعدة بيانات المرتبطة بالتفسير Linked Open Tafsir، قمنا بدعوة جميع الزملاء الذين نعرفهم من النشطاء في هذا المجال وممثلين من جميع المشاريع ذات الصلة المعروفة لدينا لاستكشاف مشترك لإمكانية ارتباط نتائج مقاربات متباينة لإعادة بناء بداية الإسلام ونشأة القرآن أكثر دقة. ومع ذلك لم يتمكن بعض الزملاء من قبول دعوتنا بسبب ضيق الوقت. أشكرهم على استعدادهم المبدئية للمشاركة. لسوء الحظ لم يحصل بعض الزملاء على تأشيرة، ما يحرجني كمضيف، وبعض الزملاء أصيبوا للأسف بالكورونا. أتمنى لهم الشفاء العاجل. على كل حال فإن الأغلبية ممثلة هنا، وشكري لكم جميعا. وسنعتبر أنفسنا محظوظين إذا كان هذا المؤتمر يمكن أن يساهم في حوار بين مناهج مختلفة ومتنافسة في كثير من الأحيان، لأن إعادة بناء القرآن التاريخي ومحمد التاريخي هي مهمتنا المشتركة. وبهذا الأمل أختتم كلامي وأحييكم مرة أخرى، وأشكر الأكاديمية للإسلام في العلوم والمجتمع على جعل هذا المسعى الكبير ممكنا من خلال الشخص الزميل الموقر بكيم أغاي. أخيرا أود أن أشكر جميع الزملاء والموظفين والطلاب الذين أعدوا المنظمة والمتواجدون للتنفيذ أثناء المؤتمر هنا. قبل أن أدعو زميلي العزيز سردار كورناز إلى المنصة ليحييكم ويطلعكم على تفاصيل المؤتمر. والسلام عليكم. فليتفضل.